Welcome back, everybody, to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week. And today we have a special guest on the show today, continuing our League of Ireland Legends series, one Mr. Mark Rutherford. Mark, how are you, my man?
Oh, not too bad. Thanks for having me on the show.
An absolute pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to come on. No doubt any viewers from the League of Ireland will recognise you, and especially Shells fans without a shadow of a doubt. Where do we begin? Let's go back. When did it all begin in terms of the career in football? How did Birmingham come about?
Yeah, well, I was playing under, I think it was under 8s, 9s with a team, my local team in Birmingham called Belford Rovers. I don't know if you know Sean Francis. Sean Francis actually played on the same team as me. He's an ex-Cove and Shamrock Rovers player.
Yeah.
We're still good friends now in Ireland, but me and him played for Belford Rovers, and we went up through from age under 10s up to 16s. And Birmingham City came out to watch us. I think we were about 14 or 15. And I signed books with Birmingham City for schoolboy forms since I was 14. So I knew that when I was turning 16, I was going to join them as a professional. So I had things mapped out for me from that age.
And was a tunnel vision from a very young age? You wanted to be a professional footballer?
Yeah. When I played on my first team, I think it was Great Bar Falcons they were called in Birmingham when I was about 7 years old. And watching players like John Barnes, I used to watch on TV because my parents are from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I used to idolize John Barnes, and I used to be watching him playing, and I used to be thinking, yeah, I want to be a footballer one day.
Excellent. Awesome. So how did the move then from Birmingham all the way to Shelbourne happen?
Yeah, actually, the connection was Owen Hand. I was playing for Birmingham at the time, and I got a ligament injury, an ankle ligament injury. I had the operation on it. And at the time, Owen Hand was the manager of Huddersfield, and he was actually looking at me with the intentions of buying me from Birmingham City. But with my injury, I wasn't fit enough. And Ollie Byrne contacted Owen because Ollie was looking for a wide left player. And then Owen told him about me. He says, "I send Mark Rutherford over and you can get his fitness over in Ireland." So I went over for a month's loan. This is nearly 30 years ago to the day, soon coming up. Actually, it was October 91. I came over, I was 19 at the time. And I came for a month's loan. I remember coming over in the airport. I remember I had the bright blue, yellow, white tracksuits on.
Yeah.
Me and another guy, Brian Gray, both of us came at the same time. We stepped into the Dublin airport, and everyone was like staring at us, thinking we're someone really famous wearing these tracksuits and our football gear. And Ollie Byrne approached me with Pat Byrne in the airport, and from then the rest is history. 25 years, 30 years later, I'm still here.
Absolutely. And tell us about some of the highlights of your time at Shelbourne.
Oh, yeah, like immediately when I played my first game for Shelbourne, I think it was a week after I came over, I made my debut against Sligo Rovers, and we won 1-0, and I happened to score the goal, winning 1-0. So it was a dream start straight away, and supporters loved me from that moment. Supporters loved me. Even up until yesterday, I was inside the Gibson Hotel, and the barman recognised me, and he mad Shelbourne supporter, and straight away he was talking about the Shelbourne days. And gosh, I'm saying it started back from 1991, and only yesterday people are still talking about me playing for Shelbourne. It's just been amazing years.
Yeah, absolutely, and plenty of silverware as well on that journey as well. It was a really good time at Shelbourne, wasn't it?
Yeah, my first season we won the league. In my first season, really I should have went on and won many more leagues at Shelbourne, but we seemed to finish second quite a lot of times. But we always got to cup finals. I think we got to about 5 cup finals in 7 years, something like that. And I think we won three of them.
Yeah. The cup final that you won, I think in '96, was that against Derry?
96 one. I know I always forget which final because there's so many finals.
Felix was talking to me the other night about it, and James had mentioned it. That was the week that their goalkeeper passed away. On the back of that final that week, I think.
Tony O'Dowd's brother.
Yes.
Tony O'Dowd's brother. Yeah.
I think that was the '96 final, wasn't it? As far as I know,
we played Derry in '92 and '96.
Yeah.
So '96 was when we we played them again.
Yeah, Derry had won the league, and then they were going for the double with the cup, and Tony he passed away suddenly that same week. So yeah, Felix was talking about the other night, and when I had James on, James Keddy, James was talking about as well. It was just such a difficult week for those boys.
Yeah, Tony still played in the game. I remember his younger brother passed away.
Yeah,
and Tony still played in the game.
Mm.
Actually, I see Tony quite often in Lucan as well, because he lives locally in Lucan.
Yeah, it's such a close-knit community, isn't it, from the League of Ireland from back then as well? People just constantly bump into each other all the time. Like
we do. There's quite a lot of players, ex-players here. Like Paul Ozam's only around the corner from me. I often
Yeah.
see Paul just around the corner at the shops.
Yeah, Paul was on the show a few months ago. Actually, Paul came on to do a show. He was. He's managing Ireland underage at the moment. He's gas chap Paul or something.
He's doing a lot of good work for the FIA.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you move to Shrewsbury.
Yeah, I think I was in '94. It was 1994. I went to Shrewsbury on loan. My ex-Birmingham City youth team manager was actually the manager at Shrewsbury at the time. So like he knew all about me from when I was 14, 15. So he actually asked me if I wanted to come over to Shrewsbury, and I took the opportunity. I didn't get many first team starts, but I came on a sub quite a lot of times. And we ended up winning the league, and I got a league medal for that was the old Division 2 back then. So nice. Actually received a league medal. I was delighted to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And then back to Shelbourne again.
Yeah, I decided actually it was more a decision I made to come back, more to do football reasons. I decided to come back to Ireland again.
And I'm sure the Shells fans welcomed you back with open arms without a shadow of a doubt. Like.
Oh, definitely. When I saw Ollie Byrne's face as well, Ollie was delighted that I was back. Ollie was so good to me over the years.
And the one thing I find when I interview a lot of these League of Ireland legends is they tend to have moved around a lot of the Dublin clubs. And we know the Dublin clubs, the fan base and all can be quite tribal, really, you know. What was it like that? Because you're one of the few men that's played for all four. What was it like, say, moving from Shells and then going to Bows and then to Rovers and then to Pats? That must have been an interesting time.
Yeah, like I found the transition to each club was nice and smooth for me, and it's mainly because of the supporters. The supporters were great to me, even when I played against Shelbourne after leaving them, or played against Bows or Pats, Rovers when I left them. The majority of the supporters were so nice to me and gave me a clap whenever I played against them. So that made things a lot easier for me. I've seen players who played for all of those clubs and gone back to the clubs, and they get so much abuse. And I was just blessed that I didn't get any stick at all. And that's made it so much easier for me to play in those games.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you find like those moves? Like you moved from Shelbourne to Bohemians. What was it like? Was there any differences there between Shells and their setup and Bohemians at the time?
When I joined Shelbourne at the time, actually a lot of the players like Mick Neville, Pat Byrne was there still playing at the time. I was there, Anto Whelan, Gary Howlett. There were players who were like 10 years older than me, so they were near to the end of their careers, say in the early 30s. So they were the next generation up for football. Whereas when I joined Bowls, it was a different generation, all players like in the mid 20s, early 20s. And actually, we had a lot of players who have come back from the UK and all at the top of their game at the time. So it was a big difference compared to when I was at Shell. So I was more one of the younger guys in the team. At Bowls, it was kind of different, more experienced player, and I had some younger players who were like 18, 19 coming through while I was about 25, 26, 27 around that time then.
So they were nearly looking to you at that time for guidance and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it totally changed around, and they used to call me old then because I was one of the older players. Whereas at Shells, I remember all the guys used to look at my birth cert and see my date of birth. Guys like Anto Whelan would be looking at my birth cert, go, "What? You're only that young?" Even Mick Neville, them they'd be laughing to each other, saying how young I was. So I experienced that as I got older. Then the youngsters, when I seen the youngsters, I'll be thinking, God, they're only teenagers, and I'm like 28, 29.
Who were the players in the Shelbourne side that time that jumped to mind? The guys that were there. Was Stephen Gagan there at the time? And
he came later on.
Okay.
It was a few years later. Stephen. He was at Rovers for a few seasons before he joined Shells. Played around 90.
Des Baker.
Yeah, Desi Baker, Richie Baker.
Yeah,
those two players. Both of them came into the team.
Yeah.
Like Dean Fitzgerald and Pascal Vorderquin. There's a lot of good players that came to Shelbourne around that period of time.
Yeah, I had Richie on the show there a few months ago as well. He has some great stories from back then and all. He says some of the stuff that went on was crazy. He says some of those away bus trips are legendary.
Oh yeah, I used to keep away from the back of the bus. That's where
Yeah,
those kind of things happened. I was at the front,
yeah.
the quiet end of the bus.
Richie said that was good advice. To stay away from the back of the bus was really good advice. All right, yeah.
Yes.
Talk to me about the 3 goals in Europe against Brann, Kilmarnock, and Glasgow Rangers.
Yeah, it was amazing the way it happened. Scoring those goals against such good teams. I always found in the European games you seem to have more time on the ball compared to League of Ireland. I used to just get clattered straight away. But when we played in Europe, the European football, you have plenty of time on the ball, and I seem to have done well in the European games. And I know I got goals in those 3 games, which was a great achievement for myself. I wasn't really known for getting many goals; it was more assists. So it was a great achievement for myself to score in those games, the big games as well.
Yeah, when I was looking down through the profile, it was like the goals were mainly crucial. They were crucial goals that were scored, so they stick out so much, you know.
Yeah.
Just before we get on to the charity stuff, we let some of our viewers know on the socials that we were going to have you on, so they send in some questions.
Right.
So a couple of the questions that come in, and best player you ever played with?
Played with of all those clubs.
You could probably rattle off a list of 10, I'd say.
There is so many. But, like I could say from the older generation, how Mick Neville, not only being a player, but the person he was, his character, and how he helped me a lot. Being a young player coming in, there's times in games he used to be roaring and shouting at me like mad, but he actually got me going and got me motivated.
Yeah.
I remember actually a lot of games, if I was having a slightly bad game, his gum shield would come out his mouth, and that's when I knew, right, Mick's gonna start roaring, shouting at me. His gum shield used to come out, and he used to be roaring and shouting, "Mark this, mark that," and he actually lifted my game, and it helped me throughout my career at Shelbourne. It actually helped me, Mick Neville. But say performance-wise, the best player would have to be, he was at the height of his career. Then I reckon Kevin Hunt. Between him and Glenn Crowe, I can't be to the two, but I reckon Kevin Hunt. Even though Glenn Crowe scored so many goals.
Yeah, Glenn was an unbelievable player back in the day, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
Bohemians and all, he was a goal machine, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was noticed more because of his goals. But Kevin Hunt, his all-round game, and at the time he was playing so well. I was surprised how he didn't get back to the UK. But I have to say, Kevin was an unbelievable player. Got around everywhere around the field and passing and shooting, everything.
Yeah. Best player you played against?
Against, I know I've been asked this a few times, and I always say Owen Heary. He used to always lift my game, and he used to lift his game. But strangely enough, we both seem to have good games and played against each other.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like he knew he was in for a battle. I knew myself, because he was good attacking and he was good defending, and he had speed. So he always made me think, and I had to nearly change my game when I played against him. And the majority of times, I think it used to work out, and he would think the same. So eventually, I got to play with Owen, and it was brilliant that I actually got to play with him in the end.
Yeah, awesome.
Had some successful times with Owen. He was a great lad, and one of the few players who used to tackle me fairly when he did tackle. He used to tackle hard, but he was fair every time. So
as fair goes in the League of Ireland.
Some players used to leave me up in the stands, and
these days it wouldn't be fair. Not at all.
Actually, but strangely enough, when I say about some players used to leave me up in the stands and against the advertising boards, I eventually got to play with those players, and they were totally different. They were so nice to me then, and it's so different when you play on the same team as them.
Yeah. Once you cross that line, the battle lines are drawn, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
And in terms of, if one last question that was sent to us, if you could have dinner with anyone past and present, who would it be?
The past, probably someone like actually I met George Best. I would say George Best, how skillful he was, because I actually got to see him in person. Would have liked to have went out on a night with him. I wouldn't have lasted the night with George Best, but probably George Best. I remember a testimonial when I was at Birmingham, and I got to meet him and got a jersey signed.
Awesome.
By him. Then there's also Frank Withington testimonial, and got to meet him. But seeing all the archives of him from years ago, It's
incredible.
amazing. And then see him in person, then playing in the game, he was 40 odd,
Yeah.
and he still had all the skill.
Yeah, amazing. I'd say that'd be a short dinner, but a long night out.
Yeah.
I'd imagine George Best, absolute unbelievable player.
Definitely.
Tell us, let's talk about the breast cancer stuff you're involved in at the moment. Let people know what you're doing and how they can contact and how they can donate and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. Like unfortunately, like my wife passed away last year. She got breast cancer back in 2014, and she had it for 6 years before she passed away. So breast cancer, like I'm wearing the T-shirt here now, Breast Cancer Ireland. It was always close to my wife's heart, and it's close to mine now. And I'm trying to raise funds for breast cancer and raise awareness, and also in the memory of my wife as well. So what I'm doing at the moment, I'm going to do 10 runs, 10 5K runs at a number of stadiums, mainly DLR Wave stadiums compared to UCD. Just before kickoff, I'm going to do these 5K runs. The support's been great at the moment. I've sent you on the GoFundMe link. It's been so good at the moment. Look, I've got 4 young children as well who are into football. I'm doing this in memory of Mel and for my 4 children. It kind of motivates me to put something back into Breast Cancer Ireland. All the funds that will be raised hopefully will help put towards eventually there'll be some kind of cure for breast cancer.
Brilliant, outstanding.
And all the work I'm doing now, all these runs, especially the first one being at Shelbourne's first live game on TV for Women's National League on next week, Saturday, the 2nd of October.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will raise a bit more awareness, and if it makes us one woman just check to see if they have got any signs of breast cancer, it could save their life if they're proactive instead of being reactive. They'll catch it early enough, and another person surviving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mean a lot to me.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, that work that you're doing there and stuff like that. And we'll be dropping all the detail in the episode, including the donation page and all that kind of stuff. So listen, thanks a million for taking the time to come on. And look, best of luck with the charity stuff that you're doing. It's absolutely fantastic. An absolute stellar career across all those top League of Ireland teams. And thank you for taking the time to come on and talk to us about it and everything.
Yeah, and for anyone who's watching your podcast, I'd just say thanks to so many people who have been in contact with me since last May. And it's been amazing, from Galway, Finn Harps, Cork, supporters all over the country, and ex-players who I've played with have been in contact with me. And the majority, I haven't been able to get back to because there's just so many. I was inundated with so many messages. But thanks to everyone who's been behind me and supporting me. So yeah, thanks for that.
The one thing we know about the football community, when it's time to come together and support people, they're second to none really in terms of being able to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, absolutely shout out all those.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, so absolutely. So it's been a pleasure. This has been our Legend series with Mark Rutherford. You can drop your comments down below in the episode, or you can contact us on Facebook or Instagram, The Upper Tier. We're on Twitter at @the_upper_tier. The videos are on Dynamo Podcast Network. The audios are on Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, wherever you pick up audio versions show. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Thanks a lot.